I gotta say, the after party was an absolute delight. And your music in it was because it's so goes through so many different genres. Your music just flows through it so excellently. I mean, what was it like crafting the score and all the different tracks for that show?
Afterparty was like a huge daunting task, because you're doing not just quite a complicated series score, which is like the kind of the sort of meat of the whole story. But alongside that, you're scoring like 10 other shows and a load of other stuff like producing songs, making weird things like the Hungry Hungry Hippos theme tune, a pretend Hall & Oates song that won't get you sued. There's so many bits in that series. It was such a gigantic task. So I'm pleased you enjoyed it, because it was a lot of work, like huge amount of work.
So, and of course, I mean, as we were just kind of talking, you have that prior relationship with Lord and Miller. Was it because of your work on Spider-Verse that the ball started getting rolling for you to come on to the after party?
Well, I'd kind of actually known them before Spider-Verse. We chatted and met and like hung out in London quite a bit. And they're really cool guys. I love them. I love hanging out with them. They're really funny. They're kind of exactly what you'd expect them to be like, in a way. And I think, like doing after party is a particular challenge, because you have to be well versed in like jumping between so many different genres. And, through my normal work, my other work, like my film work, I am always doing things that are quite different. I don't do the same thing over and over again. So I think that helped as well, in the sense they could see I could work, doing orchestral music, doing electronic music, doing jazz music, whatever. I'll sort of just jump at it. And I think that was a big part of getting me on board as well.
So which genres in the show would you say were the most fun to tackle, and which would you say were the most challenging to tackle?
The ones that were most fun were the ones where I could write music that I wouldn't normally dare write. So, normally I try and always go against what is the norm. Generally, if I try and score things, I try and do things where I'm like trying to do something sort of fresh and different. So the film feels more exciting, the film feels different, right? But if you do that in this show within the genres, it doesn't feel like a genre then. If you rescore the action film in a totally different way, it's not going to feel like an action film that you've seen before. So it was quite good fun to actually just like sort of do the most obvious stuff. Like I think one of my favorites was the rom-com, because I get to be quite cheesy and write kind of quite satisfyingly, emotionally, like basically quite cheesy music that I would never dare do normally. But now I had a reason to. The thriller's always fun to do. Brett's action stuff was quite good fun as well, just because it was like getting to do like really ludicrous sort of kind of rock style scoring. It's kind of like quite influenced by things like John Wick, like slightly more modern types of scoring. But it's just fun really going for it in a way that I wouldn't normally. I might, I'd try and do, like I say, something different. But the biggest challenges were genres where there isn't a style of music that's 100% associated with that. So I'd say the kids' film, Maggie's film, was difficult. And the Dana cop story, because it's like, is there a distinctive sound? Is there a score that defines this genre? And there isn't really with either of those. Like Maggie's story, we decided to go very hyperactive, kind of influenced a lot by kind of kids' TV scoring. And Dana was kind of like, the point of reference was the film Training Day. And, I just have to look at what made those scores work. And I would look at both the equipment, the musicians, the technology used, and try, so it feels as authentic as possible. So, that one, it'd be like sort of sampled percussion with some sort of synths, maybe something live, whereas you look at the thrillers, we'd do that all live with an orchestra. And then you look at Maggie's story, for instance, it's a kids' TV show. They often don't have much money as a composer, they have a lot of budget. So they do it all on synths. So I'm trying to like replicate not only the sound and the style of the genres, but also the working methods that composers would have within each of those genres. So it feels more authentic.
So what was it then like for you putting together the team of musicians to help bring your score to life for the show?
Well, I mean, you know, a lot of it is me, partly because of the pandemic. I mean, all the orchestral stuff we did remotely. So that was more straightforward because that's like orchestral recording, but most of the other stuff is me doing anything like programming, playing stuff. Yeah, it was like all hands on deck because there wasn't enough time or enough other things.
Well, that's amazing then. Kudos for doing all that yourself pretty much.
Yeah, it was exhausting. I can't tell you how exhausting it was. It was very, and I had to produce the songs. I had to produce all the songs in the musical episode. And yeah, there's a lot. But you know, that's the thing I love about their shows is they put so much detail and so much effort into everything. You know, hidden clues, storylines that take you somewhere else, jokes that are unbelievably complicated to execute, which are literally like throwaway 3-second gag. But they're pushing it on every level. The production designers, the script writers, everyone's pushing it. So you've got to kind of do the same as a composer.
Well, I think you did a phenomenal job on that show. I have yet to get around to Slow Horses, but I do find it really interesting that show is blowing up as it is, and the work that you've done on that with Mick Jagger as well. I mean, what was it like for you coming onto that show?
I mean, that was great. Totally different sort of approach. I mean, that was trying to find, like, in terms of the score, you know, it's got a very distinctive sound, which took a long time to like develop. I wanted to kind of make something that felt sort of very lo-fi and wonky, because it's this sort of series about these spies who were kind of basically a bit crap and get shunted off to this like crappy office. And so I wanted the music to not have, I didn't want it to feel slick. I didn't want it to feel like a normal spy thrillery kind of score. I wanted it to feel like it was all slightly falling apart, a bit wonky. So I built a lot of like crazy sounds. And then we have this other world, which is the sort of MI5 world called the Park, and that is all very slick electronics. So we had this sound world and these kind of thematic ideas, and I was like, you know, we should try and turn this into a song for the theme tune. But you know, I never thought we'd get Mick Jagger, but he loved it. You know, he heard what I'd done, he'd heard some stuff of mine before, and he was, you know, he doesn't do anything like this ever, and so it was so exciting for him to respond in such a great way to what we've done. He wanted to come on board. And then, you know, just getting stuff through from him, writing with him, it was amazing. It was like he was like so good at nailing what the show was about straight away, first pass. You know, he'd sent, you know, we discussed what we wanted to get, like what I wanted to get out of the song, what the director wanted. And, you know, he took, you know, we did some calls. And then the first thing we get in, I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, you've nailed the entire idea of the show in like 40 seconds, in a 40-second title sequence. And, you know, that is hard to do. Like, even if your job as a film or TV composer is trying to nail an entire idea of a series in a theme tune, it's really hard, even if you're doing it every day and that's your job. Mick Jagger's job is not nailing like an entire series that's going to run and run and run in 30 seconds. You know, he's out being a rock superstar, but he did it first pass. Amazing. What a legend.
Yeah, Mick Jagger has that legend status for a reason. And so I'm curious because Slow Horses just got renewed through season 4, and then we've got the Afterparty season 2 in the works. Are you coming back for all of those future seasons on both shows?
I'm working on season 2 at the moment with these guys, Toy Drum, who are great friends of mine. So we're trying to like spread the load a bit between us, because I physically cannot do 6 hours of TV series while still trying to do a million films. And I kind of still write everything myself. I don't have a team of people who write for me and I pretend I wrote it. Not saying there are any other composers out there doing that, but maybe there are. but it's got my name on it. I'm writing all the music. It's got someone else's name on it and my name. We're both writing the music. So, yeah, literally dealing with that at the moment. Second series is really exciting. Takes down a different avenue. We're going for a slightly different sound. So yeah, season 2 is underway at the moment. Season 3 and 4, I don't know yet. Let's see how season 2 goes.
And then are you back for Afterparty season 2 as well?
I don't know yet, actually. Like, again, Afterparty is one of the most complicated things you could ever do as a composer. And I've been locked in this room for like 2 years. I need to get out of the house. But yeah, I definitely want to get involved. I'll definitely be involved in some way in Afterparty 2 for sure, because Chris is fantastic. And it's such a great series, such a great show.
Well, speaking of Chris, before I go, I do want to ask about a little bit about Spider-Verse. And so, I mean, what the soundtrack on that first film was just so well received, both the original songs and the I don't want to say licensed tracks, but the actual tracks performed. What was it like for you seeing the reception to the soundtrack of the first film?
Well, it's kind of weird because when Spider-Verse came out, right, people didn't care that much for it. Like, everyone now loves Spider-Verse, right? But when Spider-Verse came out, I went to cinema the first week it came out, right, in the UK. There weren't a lot of people there on that night. And I remember telling people, I've just done this movie. It's one of the most amazing movies I'll probably ever do in my life. Oh, what is it? It's Spider-Man. And they're like, oh, Spider-Man. Yeah, they're making another Spider-Man movie. I don't care about Spider-Man. And then you go, no, it's an animated Spider-Man movie. And then they'd be like, it's a cartoon. You could see them just going, I am so not going to watch this thing. These are friends of mine. Okay. And then a year later, oh my God, I just watched Spider-Verse. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, I told you that ages ago. And I've had that on multiple times. And what's interesting about Spider-Verse, I think, is when it came out, it did okay, but it didn't, for a film that I think is, one of the most groundbreaking, like, it's the highest rated, like, superhero movie of all time. It didn't, people didn't get it when it first came out, and they got it now. And that's really fun to watch people discover it, because I think that makes everyone feel like it's their movie. Like with things like Avengers and these other things, it's a massive corporate machine behind it, and it's kind of like just a machine. But I think the thing with Spider-Verse is I think so many people feel it's like theirs and they discovered it. So I'm very excited to see how they respond to the sequel, because I think all of us, like when I was making Spider-Verse, it was insanely tough. I was working I was actually working in LA. I start at like 11 in the morning till 1 or 2 in the morning, go to sleep, and then I would repeat every day at Sony, a small little office by the end, and it was exhausting. But you would keep going because everyone in this film knew they had something really special. And there'd be moments, I had like moments. I remember when I was in there and wrote the Leap of Faith music. I was just there with the music head, Katie, and we're trying to work out what to do the scene. Like, I literally just went, what about this? And I was like, fuck, that was good. And I turned, in my head, I turned around to her, like, what do you think of that? And she was like, that was amazing. I was like, fuck, it was good, wasn't it? Shit. She said, you recorded it, right? I was like, no. But I think I can remember what I did. So then did it again, and you played it. And then I just remember thinking, that is going to be a moment that people will really remember for decades. And now it has. And it's all the Prowler sounds and those kind of things. You get things and you're like, oh, this is really special. But, you always expect it comes out, and the next day you get a phone call and it's like Steven Spielberg or something saying, congratulations, that's the best thing I've ever seen or heard. But it doesn't happen. But slowly it does. So, Spidey's going to be around for a long time.
And do you think people will respond as well as they did for Across the Spider-Verse when it comes out?
Well, I hope so. I think all of us on it are like really pushing for it to just be, the best it can be. Like, I'm really pleased we've got more time on it, because I've seen what they're trying to do, and it is amazing. Like, some of the ideas and techniques just feel really groundbreaking. And I think sometimes when people make sequels, they're like, let's just bash this out quickly. No one will care. We'll make loads of money. But there's a thing, I think, where you let people down. I love hope. That people, I think it happened, started with Phantom Menace. There was so much hope for this film and expectation. And it was the first time I think people started to really feel let down by, and I think with Spider-Verse, we got the chance to really do something magical. And I think all of us on it know that. And, it's going to sort of consume our lives for like the next, it's already consuming their lives. I'm keeping my hands clean for a month or so, and then I'm going to be all on it.
Well, I certainly look forward to hearing more about it in the future. I look forward to spreading the word about Afterparty, Slow Horses, all that good stuff. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I really do appreciate it.